Hello.
Hello, Mr. Mtetwa.
Oh, just checking if I'm audible.
You are audible, Mr. Mtetwa, clearly. We can hear you loud and clear.
Hey, we have no electricity this side, so I have to go to
Oh,
the mountain and sit on top of the rock.
hopefully this will, hopefully your battery will sustain itself until you get to the end of this meeting.
I have to be until the end of this one. It's very
Yes.
important.
Yes, hopefully you'll be fine, Mr. Mtetwa, but we can
All
hear
right.
you.
Okay.
Okay, thank you.
Sure.
Good afternoon, everyone. Just for the sake of surety for those who have joined, am I audible? Am I visible?
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Yes, you are audible and you are visible, Chair.
Thank you so much. Please just inform me when we are correcting.
We are correcting, Chairperson.
Oh, we do. Thank you
Yes,
so
Chair.
much. Honorable members and guests, the department and everyone present, let me use this opportunity to welcome you and thank you for coming to this meeting on such a short notice as it is a very important meeting. In front of us is the agenda where we will receive a briefing first from the department and then a briefing from the National Education, Health and Allied Workers and a briefing from the NAC as well. So the briefing will be in this following order: the department, then the NEHAWU, and then NAC, and then deliberations, and then closure. Can we have a proposal and a seconder to proceed?
Yes, Honorable Chair, once more, Musa here to propose acceptance of the agenda.
Thank you so much, Honorable Musa. Is there a seconder?
Good afternoon, Chairperson. Molotane here. I support the
Second.
adoption of the agenda. Thank you.
Thank you so
Thank you.
much. Is there any apologies, Portfolio Secretary?
No, Chairperson, we have no apologies, Chair.
No
Mr. Wilson
apologies.
has been
Thank you so
done.
much. Honorable members, I want to start the meeting on a very positive note. I am invited to the Jazz Festival, one of the most prestigious flagship events in Cape Town. I lost a little bit of rhythm and style, but hopefully I will make it. I think there's also other members and members from DSEC and NEC that will attend. I'm not too sure about NEHAWU members. So I also want to make use of this opportunity to invite the department, if it's possible, Dr. Kumalo, for them also to attend this flagship event. Honorable members, we are here for a very, very serious issue. And I want to reiterate that we are not here to blame and shame and throw stones to one another. We are here to seek solution for the industry. And I want us to do just that. I have seen reports, I have seen numerous reports. I have engaged with Mr. Eugene Botha, who has also kept me posted on some of the developments, which I am grateful and thankful. But the coin has another side as well. And we are going to give an opportunity to all stakeholders to explain and inform the nation what the current status of this whole scenario or strike is. I must also say, Dr. Kumalo, and I'm not criticizing it, I acknowledge the department's formal statement and its insistence that the dispute remains an operational matter for the NAC. But contrary to that, I also want to say that, and I must emphasize that the consequences of this prolonged disruption, it actually is far beyond an internal labor process. And we are all aware that the entity is not an ordinary entity. NEC is not an ordinary entity. It is a lifeline during our discussions earlier today as well for thousands of artists and cultural organizations who have no alternative resources of an income. Every day's delay in resolving the strikes undermines the livelihoods, it erodes trust amongst us, and it also risks funding streams such as the presidential employment stimulus program. Like I said, we are going to hear all angles, all sides, every stakeholder. As Parliament, we already requested full disclosure because it is within our interest. Full disclosure of the NEC legal fees, full disclosure of payment to council members. Because for us, this is not a minor administrative matter, it's an issue of governance. And I have made these allegations earlier this week to say that it's an issue of governance that is in a crisis. But also, Mr. Botha, we also take cognizance of the fact that this comes on for years. Years of mismanagement, years of rapid CEO turnover and council interference. And it actually has now culminated in a kind of a strike that is historic of nature. To characterize it merely as a labor dispute and to ignore the systemic failures that brought us here will bring us nowhere. There is, as a matter of fact, a systemic failure throughout the years when it comes to this issue. And I want to call upon the department. I also saw a statement of NAC. I want to caution the department to move beyond the passive monitoring, as explained in their press release. It's passive for me. I also said yesterday when I opened a meeting, or rather Tuesday, that the silence of both the minister and the deputy minister and DSEC is unacceptable. So we are not asking DSEC to replace CCMA, not at all. We are not asking DSEC to replace the processes of CCMA. All that we ask is for DSEC to play their oversight role and to guarantee continuity of the funding and prevent further erosion of confidence amongst our cultural institutions. I also see that there is some communication from NAC that guarantee that monies are being paid out, but in the same breath, the urgency for us as Parliament is clear. The strike, as I'm speaking here today, is still on. Please correct me if I'm wrong. The frustration is to an extent where it's still escalating, and we as Parliament cannot just sit and watch close by. What is the questions that we need to ask here? Is the NAC in a position to resolve this crisis? Is it administration of nature? How are we going to consider that the creative community deserves nothing less? We cannot call this merely just a labor dispute. We just can't. We cannot also reassure through mitigation measures while allegations of those being locked out of buildings and denied funding. That clarity should be given to us here today. In terms of Parliament, we demand disclosure here of what is really happening within NAC. The public needs and the public seeks the truth. Is it so that bonuses is approved but unpaid? Is it so that council is meddling in the daily operations? Is it so that this is indeed a real dispute? Is mismanagement involved? And I want to come back to the department stating that it's just monitoring the process. That is meaningless for us. If artists remain unpaid and programs like the stimulus program of the president are jeopardized, we cannot have a situation, Dr. Kumalo, where there's monitoring without intervention. We cannot have a situation where someone is watching, the fire is burning, while insisting the fire brigade has followed procedure. That is unacceptable for us. We demand action as Parliament. It's either the NEC is capable, reliable, accountable to resolve this crisis. Not now, not tomorrow, not the day after tomorrow, immediately. One is almost tempted to say that where an entity is not doing its work, we are easy as Parliament to cry foul and say, put them under administration. Do we want this with NAC? We will receive that sponsors today. Like I said, the strike is for the second week, and we cannot delay this any further. And it makes one wonder whether this is a labor dispute, whether it is mismanagement, or whether it is plain and simple an administrative hiccup. But betrayal of the sector in this nature is unacceptable. I want everyone to speak out and tell us what is happening. Tell the nation what is happening so that we can have a proper understanding what is transpiring in an entity, the NAC, who received, and I almost wanted to say, the bulk of transfers to assist our artists. With that said, I'm going to call upon the department to give us their view. Dr. Kumalo.
Thank you, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you, members of the portfolio. Sorry, I'm just switching on my camera. Members of the portfolio, Chairperson, and members of the board, NAC, members of NEHAWU, and any other representatives from the NAC or stakeholders, and my colleagues. Mr. Tanyane, the head of entity oversight, will talk to your request, Chairperson. Thank you very much. We don't have a presentation. Unfortunately, we were not aware. However, we do have an update in terms of what we have done as a department. Thank you very much, Mr. Tanyane.
Thank you, DG. Good afternoon, Chair, honorable members and colleagues, NAC Council. May I just check if I'm audible?
Yes, you are. Please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Chair. Chair, yes, the matter, I think we'll go back, we'll recall that this matter of payment of bonuses was raised before in the portfolio committee meeting. I'm mentioning this because it is the matter that has brought about the strike at the NAC. And there has been communication between the unions and the office of the minister in relation to seeking intervention. However, this communication was also met with the information that the matter is currently at CCMA, where it will be ventilated. And the NAC felt that the strike was premature because that matter is pending at the CCMA. The department was made aware that there was going to be a strike and it was going to affect the payment or the disbursement of the PSP funding. We then, as a department, arranged a meeting with the management of the NAC, which is led by the acting CEO, Mr. Marshall. And in the meeting, yes, they agreed that there is a strike that is at that time, I think it was had just started, and they indicated that yes, in as much as the strike has started, it's not every employee that is engaged in a strike. And we were assured that the strike does not affect the disbursement of funds to the PSP beneficiaries. Chair, not to say that because of that, then it became right that the strike continues. We did raise the concerns that it reflects on us as a department, as well as the NAC, and in public, it is viewed in a negative light. But we're assured that the NAC is managing the situation, but also that the matter is at the CCMA was also stressed to us as a department. We then asked that the management supply the department with the report. That report, which was submitted and subsequently shared as is with the portfolio committee. So where we are, Chair, is that we are not in support of having the NAC not handling the matter or dealing with the matters, because we know that it has a negative impact on the well-being of staff, but also in terms of implementation of the mandate. And we hope that there can be a resolution of the strike at hand. However, we're very conscious, Chair, not to be seen to be exerting pressure on the management of the NAC in terms of how they should handle the strike. I'm saying this, Chair, because I heard you did raise the concern that the in terms of oversight, it must not be a hands-off oversight. However, we become careful as we engage with the entity, so that we are not seen as enforcing that pressure, but guide in terms of how issues need to be dealt with. So the fact that the strike is at CCMA becomes a challenge, because even as we intervene as a department, that matter becomes an issue, that the matter is in another platform where it is or will be ventilated. So that is where we are, Chairperson, as a department, to acknowledge that yes, there is, but we have been given assurance by the NAC, who are going to be speaking and confirming in terms of the business at NAC and how it impacts on the work that the NAC is supposed to be doing, noting that it's not only PSP that the NAC is doing, but also there's other grant funding, normal grant funding that the NAC does. So we hope that in this meeting it will come clear in terms of how all the other aspects of work that is done at NAC is protected or continues to happen in light of the challenge that is at hand. So with that, Chairperson, may I then request to pause and allow the Chairperson to take back. Thank you very much.
Thank you. When was the department made aware about the strike?
The first communication, Chair, that went to the minister's office by a union person. I think
No. When was the department made aware?
it was during the month of March, Chair, if I'm not mistaken. I'll just have to
The strike
check
started,
my
I think, the 18th. Am I right?
I think so. I think it was the 18th, but I think on the 15th there was, I don't know. I'm just trying to check my email, Chair, just to when there was
While
a
you're looking for your
confirmation
email,
that
Honorable Potgieter, is it a
Thank you,
question?
Chair.
We are not going
Yes.
into questions now, but I
No,
hope
no, I
you
don't have a
correct us with the
question, Chair.
strike.
I would like to just urge the department to be very clear about when they were aware of this, because I warned of the strike happening in January. So it's not like it arose last week. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Molatani.
Chairperson, can the department make it clear, like as you just said, because there is no way the strike can start without informing the employer. When was the employer informed about the strike?
Yes.
I think, Chair, the issue of the employer, I know that there was a certificate issued to the NAC.
Can
the
you
CCMA
respond to the
certificate.
question, when was the department made aware? What date? When were you made aware?
I'm trying to check my email, Chair.
Yeah, but the strike.
Yes, I want to check the exact date, Chair, if you can allow me. Hello, Chair. The first email that was received concerning the strike, which had the strike certificate attached, was on the 11th of March.
11th of March. Portfolio Secretary, when did you write to this department?
Excuse me, Chair?
When did you write to the department to ask a report on this?
On the 17th, Chair, we received communication that there would be a strike.
Thank you.
So we
Thank
sent
you.
a request for
Thank
a
you.
report.
You have received, I just want to put it on record, you have received on the 11th of March, you have received a notification that there's a strike forthcoming. On the 17th of March, I wrote to you in my capacity as the chairperson of the portfolio, and the response, I want you to get it ready for me, Portfolio Secretary. The response was, we are not aware of the strike. I just want to put that on record. I'm now going to call upon NEHAWU.
Chair, can I respond, Chair? They did not
Yes, please.
respond, Chairperson. They did not respond to the request for a report that should be submitted by the 18th of March, Chair. So there was no
Yes.
response up until the last meeting that we had on the 24th.
Yes, and the letter I read was that they are not aware of it.
That is another one, Chair.
Okay. Thank you. NEHAWU?
Thank you, Chair. Just going to share my screen quickly. Sharing. Not sharing. It's not sharing. Sorry, Chair. If the portfolio secretary could please give me access to share my screen.
You do have access, Mr. Naidu. I've made you a co-host.
Try again. Doesn't show. Oh. Nope. Those, let me see.
Are we winning?
Doesn't seem to be allowing me access, Chair.
Okay, let me revoke the permission and then I'll make you again, but I've made you.
Can we try full host just to share my screen?
No, I can't make you a full host. I'm the only host. Can you try again, Mr. Naidu?
Could I try now? Try now.
Check.
Honorable Malatsani?
Can Mr. Naidu send the documents to Ajabuli so that Ajabuli
I
can
think
make the
Ajabul,
motion?
I think she got it.
No,
But
I don't
again,
have
so
the one
long
that is.
someone can speak us through so long while they want to flight the presentation.
Thank you, Chair. I've just sent it through to Jabu now. If she can please assist with the flighting.
What is your membership
I
now?
haven't received it yet, Mr. Naidu.
So, Chair, currently we have 29 permanent staff members at the NEC. Of the 29, 26 members are union members.
Thank you.
Okay, Chair, maybe let me start in the meantime while the email comes through to Jabu, and for the sake of time. So thank you for the opportunity, Chair, portfolio members, honorable members, and members of NEHAWU, colleagues who are watching online. NEHAWU is here today because, our reasons, our issues haven't changed since the last meeting, Chair. So we have three issues. One is the matter of the unpaid bonuses, the non-handling of staff grievances, and then obviously the issue that arose later on was the issue of the minister's letter and the minister's recommendation. But for the sake of this meeting, we're going to focus mainly only on the unpaid bonuses issue. So prior to NEHAWU going to the CCMA, last year alone, we had engagements with three different CEOs. Julie Depofa, Lebogang Mukwera, and then Vincent Mashala. We've tried, but we weren't able to secure any meetings with him. He didn't even respond to our request for meetings. With Julie, we met 3 times. We had 0 outcomes. With Mr. Mukwera, we had 3 meetings, 3 outcomes. He arranged a meeting for us with the NEC chairperson. He arranged for a meeting for the council to hear the bonus issue, and he arranged for a meeting for the NEHAWU to put forward the grievance against the ex-CEO, Julie Depofa. So there were the 3 major issues and our engagements with management thus far. So of the 2 issues, the grievance against Julie Depofa for the non-handling of staff grievances and the unpaid bonus issue, both were lodged with CCMA. One on the 28th of November. That was the issue with Julie Depofa, and the unpaid bonus issue was lodged with the CCMA on the 2nd of December. But prior to being lodged at the CCMA, in our last portfolio committee hearing on the 21st of November, you would remember the NEC chairperson said that they would not be paying bonuses and council would not be going back on the decision. Even though portfolio committee members begged them to make adjustments or review the decision, he said, no, it's unfortunate that union members found out this way or staff members found out this way, but the CEO will inform them directly or inform them formally. There was no communication from the CEO. We waited for 7 days. 7 days had passed before we lodged the matter with the CCMA. So this matter of the strike is, the entity has been aware since the 2nd of December, we started the first conciliation, or when we lodged the matter first with the CCMA. So I just want to go down. Maybe just go one slide down, please. Thank you. So, Chair, there seems to be a lot of confusion with the matter before the CCMA currently. And we noted that the chairperson's concerns and people were trying to basically spin the section of mutual interest. So our grievance has been lodged as a mutual interest at the CCMA. And you can see I've just put a quick definition, the purpose and the protected action of what a mutual interest matter is before the CCMA. So it's a mutual interest, meaning it benefits us, the staff, it benefits the employer as well. Therefore, it's a mutual interest. We're not asking for existing rights or existing laws. We're trying to create a new collective bargaining to sort out this matter, to review this matter so that we can put it to rest, basically. Next slide. So the next 2 or 3 slides is basically me just going to recap for the portfolio committee of what actually happened and how we got to this point. So 2nd of December, we lodged with the CCMA. 18th, we had our first conciliation here in the office. The employer never pitched. Second conciliation, the employer said our arguments weren't compelling enough and suggested we present it to council. We presented to council on the 29th of January. We never heard back from them. We pushed for a letter. When we got a letter eventually from the council chair, it was just to say that the NEC will engage for legal opinion. And that was where that letter ended. We never heard back from them. On the 6th, because remember, the CCMA process, one doesn't stop the other. All processes run parallel to each other. So on the 6th of Feb, we drafted picketing rules. It was sent to the employer. By the 12th, we had no response from the employer. No response to agree, no objections. So we went back to the CCMA. Next slide, please. On the 13th of Feb, I wrote to the NEC requesting an update and reiterating our position as NEHAWU. There was no response. On the 16th, we wrote to CCMA to inform them that there's no response from the employer, and the matter was set for a 3rd conciliation, the 4th of March. On the 4th of March, the commissioner came to us at our office at NEC. We engaged with the union members, the commissioner, and the CEO was present. Staff asked the CEO several times about questions about where are we in the legal process, the legal opinion of the bonuses. His response was, I don't know. Staff asked him if there's an SCM process. His response was, I don't know. The commissioner asked him, why didn't the employer sign the picketing rules or give any objection? His answer was, he doesn't know. So it was based on this that the commissioner said, you know what, we can see this process going nowhere. And he awarded the strike certificate in favor of the staff and the picketing rules. When I received the strike certificate on the 11th of March, I immediately notified, next slide please, I immediately notified the chair, the CEO, and senior staff from DSAC, which is your DG and your DDG, to let them know that this was coming. So, like Honorable Potgieter has said, this was a long time coming because we knew when we started the process with CCMA that we'll get to this point somehow. But from the time of the strike certificate, the DSAC, the NEC Council, and management had it since the 11th of March, and in ample time to come to the table with an offer or negotiate or even interdict that strike for that matter. So we waited, no response again. On the 13th of March, our members met. We voted to go in favor of the strike. On the 15th of March, no response. On the 16th, I issued a notice of 48 hours, giving the employer 48 hours, no response, and then we began the strike on the 18th of March. Next slide, please. Okay. This slide about reactive and not proactive. This culture of the NEC of not wanting to engage and throwing everything to a legal process or a legal opinion. The NEC did in 1 week to rush out to get Moody's to respond to me, to get Moody's to give a legal opinion or a review. They did in 1 week what they couldn't do in 1 year to sort out the bonuses and pay their staff. So on the 18th of March, like the NEC then decided to go and get a legal opinion, go the route of Moody's. Again, SCM process is flouted, Moody's is appointed, the CEO is in the office on the 18th. He comes out to the staff and says, no, I should check my email. The lawyer sent me a letter. So staff asked him, CEO, what is the content of the letter? He's like, no, he's not a lawyer. He doesn't know. I must update them. I read the letter, I updated the comrades. I responded to the Moody's on the 19th, acknowledging the letter. I did inform CCMA and NEHAWU regional office. I also offered, and I said to Moody's, do they want, I can give them the documents we've used to compile for the case thus far. No response. So we gave them that opportunity to say, listen, this is the information we use to build this case. If you want, it's there. But Moody's never took that opportunity. I'm also well aware that Moody's has given an opinion to the NAC on what they think the strike outcome is, or the strike is illegal. But I also want the committee to note that the opinion of Moody's is biased because it's based on what they have given by the entity. They never use the opportunity to reach out to myself, or maybe even the CCMA for the full document pack, or even NEHAWU for that matter, for the full documents of the case and the merits of this case. Next slide, please. Okay, so I just want to also put this on record, Chair. If the NEC is claiming the strike is illegal, and this is why I'm saying the NEC is confused, right? If the strike was illegal, like we've given them the strike certificate on the 11th of March, if the strike was illegal, and that in itself was grounds to go to the labor court and stop the strike, interdict the strike, why didn't NEC go on the 11th or 12th of March? Why did they wait till the 18th? Still didn't go, but they were threatening on social media or on the media to say the strike is illegal. That was so demoralizing to staff who have been here, who have been on the ground, who have been following process with due diligence, and nothing comes of it. Two, the NEC's legal counsel sent me a letter for the union, the CCMA, invoking Section 150. If the strike was illegal, why is the employer invoking Section 150 and not going to interdict the strike? It just doesn't make sense. Same with signing the agreement of Section 150. Why did the employer sign the agreement if the strike was illegal? It just doesn't add up. They say one thing in the media, but behind the media, behind closed doors, it's a totally different story. And it's demoralizing because we at the entity who work here, we understand what's at play. It's a power play, but you also are demoralizing your staff and discrediting your staff to the sector. This is totally not on. Next slide, please. So this again, Chair, is it's something the union hasn't shied away from. We've said this before. We've raised this with you in the previous sitting. NEC is not scared to throw money at legal fees. They waste millions of taxpayers' money on legal fees. This is another classic example. To go the route of Moody's and get a legal opinion, get legal counsel. This is going to cost at least maybe 100, 200,000, if not more. I'm just guessing. This money could have been put to better use to settle the matter with your employees, to resolve this with your employees. This is something that's been dragging on for years. It's been a power play for years. Union have been going to the ex-CEO, Julie DePorfa, ask her for the minutes of the meeting. She's been sending them back to the COSEC, who's now the CEO, Vincent Marshale. He's been blocking us for saying, no, it's council minutes, go to the council. It's been a constant back and forth, which is what has brought us to this point. And I'm going to say this, my point 3, and I want to make this very clear, is it has now come to the union's attention that the reason why these bonuses weren't paid is not because of any other administrative reason, but because the previous chair of council and the ARC chairperson was protecting the ex-CEO, Julie DePorfa, and the CFO, Reshma Bulla, from consequent management, which is why the bonuses weren't paid. Because if you see, the bonuses were all put forward together in a cycle. 4 years of bonuses went together in 1 year. 1 year was paid, but the other 3 was not. So there was discussions behind the scene, Chair, at ARC, at HRC, at council. If their process was fair, why aren't those minutes being made available to us, right? So we've got a good authority to say that this is the reason why. It's because the previous chair and the ARC chair were covering for the ex-CEO and the CFO to save them from consequent management. Next slide. So, Chair, I also want to go back on this to something that our chairperson, Mr. Botha, said last time in our previous portfolio committee meeting. He mentioned that council decisions are almost sacrosanct, and there's no such thing. The law is a moving object. There's no such decision that can't be rescinded or judgment overturned. No council decision can be legally binding. It can't be overturned or reviewed. Like this is it just doesn't make sense why this council won't do what is right and pay their staff. Like it just doesn't make sense. Next slide, please. So I also want to note that in my correspondence with the chair himself, the chair quoted the Prescription Act to me. And it's unfortunate that, the council is always so proud of themselves that they have legal minds, they have legal experts, they have all of these facilities available to them, but they misunderstand and misquote law as almost like a bullying tactic against your own staff. So prescription is prescription, but it mainly applies to retail debt, not to when it's salaries or wages or bonuses involved. That is a matter for the Labour Court and for the CCMA to decide, not for a chair of council to say, no, it's Prescription Act. But also, prescription can be interrupted, which is what the NAC has done. And I'm going to show you an email now for the sake of the council and the committee members and all of the public online to see how this argument is easily discredited. Please, next slide, please. So on the 1st of November 2013, you can see there was an email to all staff. And in the email, the staff from the entity, the communication of the entity say that bonuses for 19, 20, 21, and 22 and 23 were put forward. So there were 4 years, 21, 19, 20, 21, 22 were put forward in 2023, right? In 2023, the council took a decision to only approve 1 year. Only 1 year. The email also goes on further to say that the council resolved that the performance bonuses and pay progression for fiscal years 19, 20, 21, 22 will be referred to the Audit and Risk Committee for review from the point of provision of bonuses that have been raised in the previous financial years. So I want the committee to keep that point in mind because that is very important for my next points. Next slide, please. So, Chair, in this matter of prescription, and I want to squash this prescription thing right here and right now. I'm not a legal expert. I don't claim to be a legal expert, but I've got this from case law, from cases before the CCMA, cases before the Labour Court of South Africa. So when the NEC put forward, remember, there's no prescription. Prescription doesn't count it because even though bonuses, the first start was 2019, it was an ongoing process continuously till it got to 2013 when the 4 years was first put forward to the council. In 2013, when council took that decision and they only approved 1 year of the 4 years that came forward in the 2013 year, they interrupted the prescription firstly. By paying 1 year of the 4 years, they have indirectly acknowledged the debt and not the rest. The prescription also, there's an interruption prescription, which is what I've said before. By putting that first payment forward, they've interrupted the prescription and the 3 years falls away from the 2019, whatever discussion, and starts from the 1st of November, 2023. The same email also states about the provision. And I mean, if you know the Provision Act, the provision when we raise provision in financial statements, it's a means of recognizing a liability for a future expense or obligation. Why did NEC kept raising raising the financial statements, the provision, if they weren't going to pay it? We know the date was uncertain, but they kept raising it. So that means the intention was there to pay the staff. Why suddenly is there a change of tune or the change of story? Next slide, please. So, Chair, I mean, this has been a sore point for us as the union. We've labeled on this before, and I'm going to label on this again to put this in perspective for the portfolio committee. To date, from the 1st of April, the current financial year, up until the 28th of March, for 11 months, we've spent 1.8 million on sitting fees for the council, for all the portfolio, for all of the subcommittees, the council meetings.
Can you please declare your source here, please?
So, Chair, we work for the NEC. I'm part of the NEC staff. I work in the finance unit. So these are figures from our general ledgers.
Thank you. Proceed.
For the legal fees as well. To date, for the current financial year, for 11 months alone, the NEC has spent 2.2 million on legal fees alone. And I've gone back to this bonus issue to give you context in terms of numbers.
Just for clarity for committee
Yes.
members, the legal fees, is that based on the issue at hand pertaining to bonuses?
No, Chair. So these legal fees are for all legal matters for the NAC for the last 11 months.
You don't
Not
have
just
an
the bonus
amount,
issue.
you don't have an indication for legal fees pertaining to the issue of payments of bonuses to staff.
Not yet, Chair. Not yet.
Please proceed.
Okay. So yeah, so in comparison, you can see what staff are asking for is for 3 years of bonuses, amounting just over $1 million. And this is just for comparison for the portfolio committee. Next slide, please. So what I've done is I've gone back and broken down the 1,065,000 over a 3-year cycle. So as you can see, like it's just the first year of 2019, it's 13 staff member of 296,000. The next year was 15 staff members of 313,000. The last year in question was 19 staff for 455,000. This is how the amount comes to just over $1 million. Last slide. Okay. So, Chair, just to sum up this, and I don't want to go on too much in this and labor too much, we can answer more questions in deliberations. But since the start of the process with the CCMA in December, I have written to the Minister's office, I've written to the Deputy Minister, to the DG's office. Minister's office was 5 times. Of the 5 times, twice we have received 2 replies. One was a copy and paste to say the Minister's calendar is full for the next year. The other one was from a special advisor to say the strike is illegal. And of course, then the chair responded to say no, that the NAC is handling this, which is not true. With the DG, we've written 5 times, no response. Last slide, please. So to the portfolio committee, as NEHAWU, as comrades of NEHAWU, union members and staff members, we want to personally thank Parliament. Parliament has been the only body who has been engaging. We've written to you guys 9 times. You've replied to us 9 times through the staff of Parliament, which we are grateful for. You guys have given us a platform to air our grievances twice so far. And as staff of NAC, as members of NEHAWU, we thank you, Chair. We thank you, Portfolio Committee and staff for engaging us and giving us this opportunity. Thank you, Chair.
Before you leave, can you put that presentation on again? Second last page. I want you to read or present this page and the last page again.
Okay. Okay, so Chair, since we started to lodge the CCMA case, we've written to the Minister 5 times. We've received 2 replies from the Minister's office. The first response was to say the Minister's calendar is fully booked for a year. That was the response, 1 line. The second response was from the Minister's Special Advisor, Mr. Cilliers, who responded to say the strike is illegal and withholding payments for PSP6 is illegal. To that, the Chair of Council responded to say they are handling the matter, which has not happened. To the Deputy Minister, we wrote once, inviting her to come to the NAC to hear our concerns. We received no response. The Director General, we've written 5 times to the Director General, no response. And then the last slide, please, Jabu. The Portfolio Committee, we've written to you guys 9 times. We've received 9 replies from the staff at the Portfolio Committee. We've received replies from Portfolio Committee members. For that, we are thankful. We thank you for the 2 opportunities to be part of you guys in the Portfolio Committee. So we thank you on behalf of the NEHAWU members and staff. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much. The NAC, National Arts Council. Who's taking us through, Mr. Botha?
Thank you, Chair. So, Chair, I'll make an opening statement, and then Mr. Mashale was going to take us through, but unfortunately he's had an incident with a family member, so he's unfortunately not available. So I've been advised Mr. Porfa will assist. Chair, just by way of initial response to what Mr. Naidu has said. Chair, with all respect to Mr. Naidu, and I think he said it himself, he's not an attorney, and he hasn't really taken the portfolio committee.
Mr. Botha, can I lead the process? We would like you to give an presentation on the issue at hand. We will ask questions. Then both yourself or the department will have an opportunity to respond. If you have a question to NEHAWU, I would allow you and then also allow NEHAWU to respond. But I don't want us to set off the pace with reactionary statements. I would advise, rather than we deal with the report as you have submitted, if that is in order.
Sure, Chair. So you just want me to read to you what we've released?
Yes, the ones that you have submitted. But keep your questions. You're welcome to ask those questions for a rebuttal. I want to give you the right to reply as well.
Okay. So the memorandum was prepared again by Mr. Mashale. Perhaps, I don't know, perhaps Mr. Porfa should take you through this, Chair. Because it's from the admin, it's not from me. I'll reserve my right to respond to Mr. Naidu in due course. Mr. Porfa?
Thank you, esteemed Chair. Good afternoon, Honorable Chair and Honorable members. Also like to extend my greetings to the Honorable Council members, the DG and colleagues from the department, colleagues within the National Arts Council, and also our NEHAWU colleagues. I would take this moment to request the Secretariat to allow me to share my presentation, please.
My apologies, Julie, just a second. The Honorable Mtetwa, I see your hand. On what are you rising for?
Thank you, Chair. Just a point of clarity. Is Ms. Departmental not the person who's still under investigation, who was suspended according to our last meeting? How is she supposed to be presenting on a matter that she is also implicated? Is that correct?
Can we get clarity on that issue?
Chair, may I respond?
Yes, please do.
Chair, so as a matter of fact, Cliff Decker-Hofmeyer was appointed to investigate the allegations that Honourable Mtetwa was referring to. And after the investigation, there was no evidence found whatsoever against Mr. Porfa or Ms. Bola. In other words, they were cleared. This was communicated with the department and the minister. And as soon as that happened, Mr. Porfa and Ms. Bola were brought back to the organization. So as far as the council is concerned, the council noted the report and accepted that they have been cleared of their allegations against them. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you. Proceed, Ms. Porfa.
Thank you, Honorable Chair. Let's see if I'm able to share my screen. Okay. Looks like. Just want to put it on a full slide mode, Chair. Right. Thanks, Chair, for the opportunity to present once more. The presentation outline will just give an executive summary, which will actually sort of list the financial implications for these previous performance reward. I'll also give an historical overview of the matter, looking at its genesis as well as the trajectory of events, and also taking us to the role that management played in submitting these performance rewards, as a sequence of events in relation to engagements with NEHAWU and the way forward. Chair, the performance bonuses that are in dispute are for the following financial year: 2019-2020, 2020-2021, 2021-2022. The amounts are listed on the screen, giving us a total of just over 1 million and six, let me rather say it, just over 1 million, but the full amount is 1065, 1,065,716. Apologies, Chair. So in terms of the historical overview, let's start with the first financial year, 2019-2020. The performance approval processes for this financial year were not concluded within the prescribed timelines. And at the time when they were supposed to have been submitted, this would have been in the middle or towards the end of 2020, the NAC prioritized the COVID-19 relief intervention. Let me take this opportunity to actually mention that the management, each of the management units had concluded the review of the relevant staff. Hence, there was an amount that was put together, for performance bonus. The provision was there at the time. During this period, at the onset of lockdown, the NAC was tasked with the implementation of COVID relief payment intervention, starting with COVID relief payment 1, COVID payment relief 2, as well as the rollout of PSP1. This was the first presidential employment stimulus program that was meant to be implemented in 2020. However, it spent over to 2021. Just a bit of background, members, if you'd allow me. Stream 1 focused on the financial support for the sustenance of art practitioners' livelihoods and their companies where they needed to provide proof that they have lost salaries. That was streamline portion or program of the PSP. Then we had Stream 2, which entailed an open call for applications in order for arts and culture projects to be implemented, and this was done through the normal processes of project funding. And the aim thereof was to stabilize and revitalize the sector and the broader economy during the period of lockdown. So given the agency and scale of these interventions, organizational efforts were prioritized towards sector support, and as a result, staff performance rewards were deferred. Now coming to sequence of events for the 2020-2021 financial year, there were delays due to delays in project reviews and approvals at the time. Arts sector project payments could not be initiated and implemented in 2020. These only started in 2021. Early January 2021, there was a whole lot of backlog, which really led to sector upheavals. During that period, there was the arrival of the new council in January 2021, and they discovered that the PSP budget, which was managed by a cohort of PSP dedicated staff, was not properly allocated, resulting in an over-allocation of approximately 260 million. Let me state that the budget at the time was 300 million, but due to over-budgeting or over-allocation rather, clearly the budget was really nearly doubled because it was almost like 600 million at the time. So with the Hans Council having just came in, they had a baptism of fire at the time, and they had to review the matter, of course, with advice from the legal practitioners at the time. In order to cater and include a whole host of beneficiaries that were already approved by the previous council when they left. So council had to reduce the allocations, and this resulted in recontracting of some of the funded projects in order to accommodate all the previously approved council beneficiaries. A total of about 1,300 beneficiaries were actually approved beyond the budget. So this whole reallocation really assisted to work with the available budget to cater and cover all the approved beneficiaries. During this period, Chair, the NAC was met with turbulence and volatility from the sector. Even our building was taken over with a stage in protest for the delays in payments and the like. Now, coming to section 2 of my presentation, which deals with the submission of performance rewards. During 2021-2022, historical performance rewards or bonuses were submitted by the new interim management. At the time, when these new historical bonuses were submitted, the previous management had been put through suspensions and they had to go through disciplinary hearing processes. So these historical bonuses spanned the same financial year as mentioned, 2019 to 2020, 2020 to 2021, and 2021 to 2022. These requests were submitted via the Human Resources Committee of the National Arts Council, which is a committee of council, and they were also submitted to council. Council declined the approval of historical bonuses as per the delegated authority in accordance with the DOA, the framework of delegations of authority. So there were just a whole lot of discussions that really happened, and these bonuses had to be resubmitted back to the HRC and the Audit and Risk Committee for re-evaluation and also reassessment of these historical bonuses in terms of what their impact would be on the NAC financially, as well as on reputational issues, considering that the NAC was considered to have been in a turbulent period. The rationale that was given for non-payment was, number one, poor institutional performance during the fiscal years 2020 and 2021, 2021 to 2022, leading to reputational risk. I did mention that because the COVID, the PSP1, could not be concluded in 2020. They certainly spilled over to the whole of 2021, where the balance of the payments, some were initiated from scratch with the contracting processes, had to be implemented in 2021. It was only after these were concluded that the NAC was even able to open its own funding session for the year later in that financial year. Reason number two, there was no evidence of presenting these requests to the former council by the executive management at the time. And of course, they were not presented by the executive management, whom at the time were facing disciplinary processes. The performance rewards for the financial years 2022-2023 to the current financial year, last year, just to be honest, just to be precise, let me rather sort of the current financial year, there were bonuses paid late last year, and they spent the period for the 2023-2024 financial year. So coming from the whole of 2022 up to 2024, performance bonuses were honored by council, because that's when the NAC finally was stabilized and in terms of implementation of PSP and its own funding programs. Now, coming to the sequence of events, just the genesis of engagements with NEHAWU. This current council, the new council, was appointed on the 1st of January 2025. Of course, staff requested this council to review the submission on performance bonuses of those historical bonuses. Council deliberated on this issue and resolved to upload the previous council's resolution to decline historical bonuses. The final resolution was made late last year in October 2025. In December 2025, NEHAWU referred the matter of the historical bonuses to the CCMA for conciliation. A conciliation meeting facilitated by the CCMA was held at the NAC offices on 27 January 2026, at which meeting it was agreed that NEHAWU will make a presentation to council, which was scheduled on the 29th of January 2026. NEHAWU made a presentation. They were allowed to make a presentation to council at the meeting. Council at the time then mandated EXCO to consider the matter and make a proposal to the council on the way forward, to advise council on the way forward. EXCO considered the matter and its legal implications regarding the historical bonuses. In February 2026, NEHAWU sent the NEC draft picketing rules for discussion and sign off. However, no agreement was reached between the NEC and NEHAWU on the picketing rules. On 4 March 2026, parties reconvened at the NEC offices where CCMA was present, where the NEC and NEHAWU agreed to adopt the default CCMA picketing rules. On 16 March 2026, NEHAWU gave a 48-hour notice of the intent to picket. On 17 March 2025, the NAC then sent communication to staff advising them of the picketing and to request some of the staff members who were not to be joining the picket to advise the CEO in writing to this effect. Based on the responses received, management implemented measures to safeguard operational sustainability and ensure the uninterrupted disbursement of payments to beneficiaries during the picketing, which we have continued until today, as we said. On 18 March 2026, the NAC sent a correspondence to NEHAWU and the CCMA requesting a meeting to resolve the matter. On 23 March 2026, CCMA sent parties a Section 150 offer letter for the parties to agree to the appointment of a commissioner, appointment of a commissioner to assist in resolving a matter. The parties agreed, they have agreed to sign the 150 offer letter. In terms of the way forward, the CCMA advised the parties that a conciliation meeting will take place at the NAC's office on the 31st March 2026, which will be next week, Tuesday. Now, on the issue of grievances, as mentioned, I wish to state that the union lodged a case with the CCMA late in 2025, of which in December, a conciliation meeting was held with the CCMA. The CCMA persuaded the union to withdraw the case since the internal NAC grievance processes and procedures were not fully utilized and exhausted. So this was not mentioned by the union to say they tried with the CCMA. However, because they've not concluded and exhausted NAC internal grievances procedures, and therefore there was no case. The case had to be withdrawn. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, honorable members. We have received reports from all stakeholders. We are all aware that this matter is before the CCMA, and we are delightful as the committee to know that it is very soon, sometime next week. Members may respond and make observations, but what we would like to see or to hear is the how part. What are we currently doing and how are we going to solve the problem currently as it is? We may have our own judgments, we may have our own comments, we may have our own arguments, but I don't think that this meeting will be a meeting for that nature. We invited stakeholders to come. We invited stakeholders also to explain so that everyone may understand. It is also for us as a committee to make recommendations if the NEC believes the strike is truly unauthorized. If we get that assurance, we should also have a proactive approach when it comes to the labor court, the review, rather than simply maintaining a stance of a distance illegitimacy in our communications and or response. So that is the issue in front of us. And I think in terms of the recommendations, we should be very firm, because what is truly worrisome is the operation and also the face out there to the broader South Africans on the matter at hand. We hear all the sides. We receive the correspondence. In some cases, we've also heard that there is some evidence, but I think for us to make a judgment will be premature as a committee, rather a recommendation. Like I said before, this issue comes for quite a while. If you look at the trend, and really, we really would want this issue to be solved. I'm going to give an opportunity to Honorable Potgieter, following by Honorable Mtetwa.
Thank you, Chairperson. Yeah, these questions may seem all over the place, but they're not. So if you can bear with me. I'd just like to get an idea from the NAC. You talk about the previous executive management facing disciplinary processes. Can you expand on that, please?
Okay. Yes, Honorable Potgieter, and greetings to you. And thank you for your question. So when the new council arrived in 2021, January 2021, PSP had commenced around October, PSP 1, October 2020. Is when the open call went out and closed. The evaluations, the applications evaluations that were done and approved by council were over and above the budget of 300 million that was provided. So in essence, there was a deficit, if I can put it that way.
Yes. Sorry, Mr. Corker, if I can interrupt you. I understand the reasons behind it, but what were the disciplinary measures that they were facing and who was facing them? If I can expand on that.
It was maladministration, dereliction of duty, if I can remember. I had not seen the charges myself at the time, but it really was in relation to the maladministration of PSP at the time, and they were suspended.
And who exactly was this, or is this still under current investigation?
Oh, okay. No, the cases were concluded. It was the late Mrs. Rosemary Mangope and the CFO at the time, Mr. Cheng Foot, as well as the project manager at the time that was responsible for the PSP. In the process of correcting the disbursement of those projects in 2021 and clearing them out, the members were already facing a disciplinary process. Chengfoot was dismissed, and there was a settlement with Mrs. Mangope because the legal fees were so exorbitant for the NAC to continue.
Thank you. Were any of the members who alleged that they were owed bonuses, were they implicated in these disciplinary proceedings?
You mean in terms of receiving them?
I'm asking if any of the members, the staff members who alleged that they were supposed to have received these bonuses that weren't paid, were any of them part of the disciplinary proceedings or at fault for what happened at this time?
No, none of them.
Okay. And were they led to believe that bonuses were going to be paid? Because I understand from your presentation that initially the bonuses were deferred due to COVID. Not that they were declined, that they were deferred due to COVID and were later then submitted. So I'm trying to understand the reasons for the decline on these particular bonuses. If the initial reason was that they were deferred, then you state that the interim management failed to submit them in time, but you yourself have admitted that they were deferred. So if I can get an understanding of that.
Yeah, I meant that they were deferred because they were not handled in June 2020 when they were supposed to be submitted. PSP and COVID fees relief funds really took precedence over any other matter.
Okay.
However, if I may continue, Honorable Member.
Yeah, I'm not looking really for a long answer. I'm just trying to establish, who exactly was responsible for this.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if COVID funds were prioritized and this was then deferred because of that prioritization, was it a case that it wasn't submitted because it wasn't submitted in time? or because they were told to delay it in order to prioritize COVID funds or interventions?
They were just not submitted. I think it was, to be honest, I think it was a management decision not to submit all of these at the time.
And was that made by the management that faced disciplinary, who were then charged and let go?
Yes, because the 2019-2020 should have been submitted in 2020, but they were not submitted.
So would you agree then that the interim management then set it right? Because you've admitted, and obviously the consequence management came after that executive management failed not only in their duties to properly manage the NAC's funds, but also to properly manage the employees' salaries and bonuses?
Well, of course, because they were not submitted at the time, or on time, rather timelessly. So when interim management took over, all the historical bonuses were collated and submitted to the HRC and followed the processes that were required.
And as you've said, that none of these employees that were mentioned had failed in their duties, and none of them were brought forward for disciplinary or consequence management. So they were not at fault for the fact that these, their salary or bonuses had not been processed. This was then dealt with by the NAC. They held the executive management's account, and the interim management came in and then set the record straight and submitted all the things that shouldn't have been submitted, or that should have been submitted at the time. So can I get an understanding of then why the finding came at a later stage from the Audit and Risk Committee that poor institutional performance was the reason for the non-payment of bonuses? Were any of these staff members informed at any stage that they were not being paid bonuses because their performance did not warrant a bonus? Chair, am I still audible?
Yes, you are. Just unmute, Ms. Dipofa.
Apologies, Chair, I was speaking to the mic. Okay, I wanted to say that there was no formal communication with staff members whatsoever during that period, not as far as I remember.
And then did the NAC quote prescription as one of the reasons for not paying over bonuses?
Not at the time. Not at the time.
At which time did they do that?
These bonuses were submitted 2023. The prescription law or principle came into effect late last year when these were resubmitted to Council for reconsideration.
And they were resubmitted when?
To Council for reconsideration last year.
When?
The final decision was taken in October, but I think the approval was, the submission was made and stand to be corrected between August and September, hence culminating in a submission to a proper council sitting in October when they had their quarterly meeting.
So at which stage was the Prescription Act quoted or advised to employees?
I will fail to answer that in terms of the exact timing or timelines, as I was not involved in those communications.
But it was communicated?
I believe so. I believe so.
Okay. Would you agree then that the decision was communicated only in November of last year, which is of 2023, sorry, which essentially means that the 3-year period for prescription, if you had to quote that or rely on it, is actually only expiring at the end of this year?
Come again, Honourable Member?
If you are relying at all on the Prescription Act, which is what I'm trying to understand, notwithstanding the fact that each case is significant in its own, because you cannot just rely on the Prescription Act per se, you actually have to rely on the specific facts of a case. And all sorts of things play a factor in this, such as the understanding that bonuses would be paid, communication to employees on whether or not these bonuses would be paid. All of those things would play a factor in a court's decision with regards to prescription. I'm not disputing the fact that it could or would apply, but all the factors have to be taken into consideration. But if you are relying on a 3-year prescription period, the communication to employees was only sent through at the beginning of November in 2023 on the fact that these bonuses for those specific years would not be paid. So would you agree that if it is a 3-year period, that prescription period would actually only expire in November 2026 or the end of October, really, because it's a 3-year period?
I wouldn't want
Chair, sorry,
to-
may I interject briefly?
Yeah.
I'm just concerned that this is seeking a admission from the NAC, which could be held against it in the CCMA. I think this perhaps should be answered as a sub judice matter. And it's also multifaceted, it's nuanced. The Prescription Act is one aspect. The Labour Relations Act governs all labour disputes. Unfair labour practice disputes have to be filed within 90 days. That wasn't done. So it's really multifaceted. And I feel like Mr. Porfa is being put into a situation where she might have to give an answer that could compromise the NAC. And that would be, there's PFMA issues as well. I just want to ask Chair to guide us on that one. Sorry, Chair.
Yes, if you feel there's an issue that will compromise, I think you deserve the right not to respond, especially when the commissioner of the CCMA still have to make a ruling on that. But you're welcome to intervene if you're uncomfortable with that. Proceed, Honourable Potgieter.
Thanks, Chair. Yes, by all means, if you have a sub judice issue, you're welcome to state that. I'm not trying to do anything. I don't work for any side. I sit on the portfolio committee, and I'm just trying to understand the presentations from both sides. So if there is a sub judice matter or it contravenes or has an effect on any of your cases, then by all means, please state so and I'll stop that line of questioning. But it was presented to us, so hence I'm asking the questions on it. What I would like to understand is with regards to the employees, they were not made a part of either the issues surrounding the previous management. They have not been taken up on issues relating to underperformance. So I'm trying to understand the decline based on poor institutional performance. And I think you've stated that none of the employees were advised that they had not performed to satisfaction. So at any stage, were their performance reports for those particular years, did they indicate an underperformance on the side of any employee?
Chair, thank you. If I may jump in. With respect to performance bonuses, I think it's important to understand that the performance bonuses are discretionary as per the contracts. Performance bonuses are also approved by council. They're not an entitlement like a salary or leave. As I understand the evidence that's been presented, the performance bonuses were not approved by council in 2023, and that decision stands. It hasn't been overturned by court. And any further reaction on this about whether the staff may have been deserving of bonuses or not, again, goes into the sub judice space, and we just need to tread carefully in that regard. It gets close to evidence of what is currently being debated. Thank you, Chair.
Honourable Potgieter.
Thank you, Chair. Okay, then, Chair, I'm really just trying to understand if there was any sort of endeavour, sort of promise made to employees or can you hear me?
Yes, proceed.
Yes, I'm trying to understand if there was any reason for them to believe that they would have expected to receive bonuses and that they had any expectation due to their performance or discussions that had happened at the NAC, whether or not they would receive any bonuses.
Ms. Potgieter, I think the only evidence that the employees are relying on is that email that Mr. NEHAWU presented, where he sort of interpreted the wording as creating provision for bonuses, as meaning bonuses are due and payable. I think a proper reading of provision for means financial provision for, but not allocated. The council has never approved those bonuses, so no entitlement was created. The council has to approve bonuses according to the policies, as I understand it. I hope that answers the the question.
Thank you. Perfect. Then I'd like to understand, during those particular periods of time, did anybody else in the organization on any level receive a bonus outside of these staff members?
I'll have to ask the Mr. Porfa. I was not involved at that time. I don't know if any bonuses were. You're talking about 2019 to 2022 if in
Yes,
that period.
the period that these bonuses were declined based on a poor institutional performance.
Yeah, Mr. Porfa, sorry, I don't
Yes.
have that information. Maybe
Yes,
you
Chair,
or Ms.
no,
Pula.
no one else got paid bonuses in relation to those financial years that have been illustrated.
Thank you very much. Then I would just like to understand, so I'm just consulting my notes, Chair, if you can bear with me. The forensic investigation that was that you got from Cliff Decker, was that done outside of SCM processes?
No, they were appointed. I was advised that they were appointed through the procurement process. I would have to perhaps, Mr. Porfa, you have more info. I was reassured that they were properly appointed through advertising, etc.
Chair, as I was conflicted in the matter, I was not involved in any way, so I'm not in a position to answer that. Thank you.
Yeah, that's fair. Sorry, I forgot about that. Mr. Mashale has the full details. Chair, I'll have to try and get that answer for you and confirm, but to my knowledge, it was done through a procurement process.
Thanks, Chair. If we can possibly get that information from the member that's not with us, if there was any deviation from procurement process for whatever reason, I'll accept that. Then, from my understanding, that was a review and not an investigation. If you can just clarify, and whether or not, or what terms of reference were given to them in terms of that investigation.
Chair, I don't have that information at my fingertips. I can make it part of the information pack to be sent to you.
Perfect, thank you. Then I'd just like clarity. The last slide on the NAC's presentation stated that the unions basically, the CCMA basically advised the unions to withdraw the current case. Is there evidence of this that we can have sight of?
Sorry, I'm not clear.
Can you rephrase your question, Honourable Potgieter? I couldn't also get it.
I think it's the last slide of the NAC's presentation, where they stated that the CCMA, I think sorry, I'm forgetting the names now, you'll excuse me, I've seen too many names today. Deporfa, yes. Advised that the CCMA had told the union to withdraw the case. Can I get clarity on that? Is there a document or some sort of evidence to that effect?
I don't have that evidence, Honourable Member.
Can NEHAWU respond to that?
Thank you, Chair. So the case was not withdrawn. The case was referred back to the NEC and to NEHAWU to resolve it internally. And the issue from the case, so what had happened was NEHAWU presented submission to the HRC on the grievance against Ms. Deporfa as the ex-CEO for the non-handling of grievances. We wrote the submission to the Chair of Council, Mr. Botha.
I think the question is, yes, is there any proof that NEHAWU was asked to withdraw the case?
No, there's no such proof, Chair.
Okay.
Can I get clarity then? Yeah, can I get clarity, Chair, then on that statement, because it is in the NAC presentation.
Chair, I think if I may jump in NEHAWU's presentation themselves, they mentioned that they referred two matters to the CCMA. The one was this matter with the grievances, and the other was the unpaid bonuses matter. The matter with the grievances, in terms of their own statement, went no further than the CCMA hearing in December. And that seems to confirm what Mr. Porfa was saying about the fact that the NAC attended that hearing and then it didn't progress. So in terms of the CCMA processes, it either goes to arbitration or it terminates. I'm not aware of any further progress on that matter. And I also, just for the record, the council hasn't seen any formal grievances lodged against Mr. Poffa at all. We're not aware of any such grievances. We're only aware of the CCMA matter, which, shall we just say, for the sake of the council, terminated it. It didn't proceed any further than that. I hope that.
Yeah, Chair, perhaps I'm misunderstanding. I thought that the referral in the NAC presentation referred to the current picketing on the matter about bonuses.
If I may come in, Chair.
Thanks, Mr. Poffa.
No, it's a different case altogether. It does not refer to the current picketing stroke striking case. That's a different case altogether that was lodged as a result of the how do I put it? You know, the ignorance of grievances that staff members had raised. But however, there was no evidence that such a grievance was ever raised, and therefore the case was terminated. Thanks.
All right, so that's the one you referred to, saying that the CCMA advised the union to withdraw.
Okay. Correct.
Okay,
the NAC was
perfect.
represented by Mr. Mashale at the time.
Can I get an understanding then, the interim management, the submission of the performance bonuses, the historical ones, what date was that made?
CFO, you will assist me just to remember here. I believe we commenced around August 2023 at the conclusion of the 2022-2023 audit.
Was that when you received the submission?
Yes, the submission came from the HR unit at the time.
Okay, so there was no prior date between 2020 and August 2023 when there was any submission or request for bonuses?
None whatsoever, ma'am.
Okay. I think, Chair, I would just like to raise, I'm a little bit concerned with the fact that the department seems almost unaware of this prior to the 11th of March, because as I said, I did raise it in January as a possible consequence of what was going on at the NAC, and that doesn't seem to have been taken seriously. It does concern me that if I mean, I'm a member of this portfolio committee, but I in no way work inside either the NAC or the department. But, you know, the fact of the matter is, and I'm sure the Honourable Mtetwa and other members will tell you that they were also aware of this imminent strike for at least the last 2 months. I'm concerned that the department seems to only have been aware of it by the 11th of March when a certificate was issued, despite the fact that we've raised this in previous meetings. And also the lack of communication between the NAC and DSAC, whereby the NAC had already agreed to the draft picketing rules from the CCMA on the 4th of March. So there does seem to be a complete disconnect between the department and the NAC. They can possibly answer that, but it's just a comment from my side. But I'll leave it there for now, Chair. I'll come back if I have any follow-up questions. Thanks.
Thank you, Honourable Potgieter. The Honourable Mtetwa. Please unmute, Honourable Mtetwa.
I have unmuted. Can you hear me?
Yes, you now only unmuted.
Okay. I'm in a bit noisy place. Chair, I want to find out first before I ask questions, because now there is sub judice issues here. Why is NAC before us if we cannot deal with issues? And we know the issue of sub judice has constantly prevented us from getting answers. It is often used to get us from getting answers. And we had a legal advice from our own parliamentary legal division about the issues of sub judice. So what is it that we can ask? What is it that we cannot ask?
Honourable Mtetwa, you may make any comments or any response or any observation of what was presented. If you can't, or if you feel you cannot ask, it is sub judice, feel free to make mention of anything that you have observed.
Okay. Okay. Let me firstly ask Ms. Dikofa. Is Ms. Dikofa still under investigation or not?
I think it has been made clear when we start.
Can you please allow me to ask my question?
Okay, Ms. Dikofa. Please unmute.
Chair, I'm not under investigation by the NAC. Let me also just give a little bit of a backstory. There was a letter that was written to all stakeholders, including the PPC, and that resulted in the public protector sending communication to the NAC for the NAC to provide documents. And on the basis of that, that's when the NAC had done its own review of the case itself with its legal representative. So we're still waiting for the case to commence with the public protector. So in that respect, then I don't want to say I'm under any investigation. I'd say the institution was requested to provide some documentation to the public protector, which we have done and duly submitted to the public protector. Thank you.
Matter. In relation to which matter? Ms. Dikofa?
Can you just speak a little bit louder, Honorable Mtetwa? We can't hear you.
We can't. Okay, let me.
It's better now.
Honorable Mtetwa, I think I heard him, Honorable Chair. There was a litany of allegations that were sent in a letter to the PPC as well as the minister and the NAC. So those were the allegations that were listed there.
Was it about the institution or about certain individuals within the institution?
Well, it mentioned quite a number of individuals within the institution, and I was one of them as well.
Okay, so there are allegations against you. All right. And one of the allegations is about the very matter that you were suspended for at NAC. If you were, maybe let me ask, were you suspended by NAC? And how long did the suspension take?
Honorable Member, I was not suspended by the National Arts Council. I was, me and the CFO, Ms. Rashma Bula, were given special leave whilst the review was in place.
Did you hand over your tools of trade?
At the time, I did, Honorable Member.
When was that? What did you say at the time? You were suspended, or rather put on special leave the day before, or on the day when year before this portfolio committee, isn't it?
Honorable Mtetwa, I did not hear. There was a break in some of your words.
No, I'm asking if you were suspended a day or on the day or a day before the appearance of NAC before the portfolio committee.
Sure. If I remember well, it was a day before.
And when did you hand over the tools of trade?
The tools of trade, because we work on a hybrid model, they were collected by the NAC on a Friday, which I believe.
We are losing you again, Honorable Mtetwa.
And collected on Friday.
Yes, the NAC sent a driver to collect the tools of trade.
I'm asking, and when when did NAC send the driver?
It was on the day that Parliament was sitting, which was a Friday, if
And
I
you-
recall well.
And you handed over
I handed over
your
my
tools on Friday,
absolutely.
on the same
They
day.
were collected, yes.
And how did the special leave? How long did the special leave take?
It was 3 weeks.
3 weeks. May I remind you that misleading Parliament is a statutory offense. I'm asking again,
Absolutely.
how long were you put on special leave?
I was put on special leave. I believe it was on the 26th of November, if my dates are correct. I need to check the calendar. However, I was back at work on the 15th of December. So that's a period of about 3 weeks, if I'm not mistaken.
So during that period, you never had any access to the systems of NAC.
Absolutely not, Honorable Member.
Okay. Ms. Kilebogile, who was suspended from the HR department, how long was she suspended on full pay? And how
The
much?
suspension.
How much did she incur?
I don't have the full figure here, Chair. We can submit the information to the Honorable Committee. She was suspended as from February 2024.
2024. And when did her hearing begin?
It began in February. I'll tell you just now. It began in. There was a forensic audit that 2024. It began in February 2025.
2025. Which law firm were you using?
We used Ingiza Honor, and we have submitted this information to Parliament before on the sequence of events relating to the case.
In your position as an acting CEO or as an employee at NAC, how many legal cases have you lost? How many legal cases have you lost? And how much have they cost you where you have to settle?
Chair, besides the latest HR case, we have not lost any legal case. We had number of appearances in relation to the Sarah matter, several different cases. I believe there were 3 which were on and off. We have not lost any of them. As well as the other matters where applicants took us to court. These we have not lost at all. I feel like I'm put on the spot, but I would prefer to give the correct information based on our records to the Parliament committee.
That's fine.
Please do. I feel like I'm handcuffed because I would go deeper into the issue of Sarah. First and foremost, was the case that led to Ms. Mangope to be fired. It was the issue around the surplus policy, okay, which you did not win. That is why you had to release Ms. Mangope and you gave her a handshake. At NAC,
No.
At NAC, you reward mediocrity, and anyone who is a whistleblower, anyone who raises issues against management or the board, or the council, they get suspended, they get frivolously charged. That is why you had Kilebukhile for the longest time. Now there's an award for her to come back to work. She comes back to work. You don't give her the tools of trade because part of what she has in that laptop, it is the issue of the very same issue we're faced with now, the issue of bonuses. If there were any performance agreements that were signed, that on her laptop, which are no longer giving access. Why are you not giving her access to that laptop? What is it that you are doing with that laptop?
I would not want to answer, Honorable Chair and Honorable Mtetwa. I would not want to answer the issue of the tools of trade, as I'm not currently in communication with her or have not met. She met with the CEO in that respect. And let me say, Chair, we have an HR system called Employee Service Shared Services, ESS. Everybody's information is sitting on that. It's an NAC program. So it's not sitting on anybody's laptop. So any performance reviews that were done, that's recorded on that online system. It's not sitting on anybody's laptop at the moment. And that information was shared with the HRC on several occasions. At the time, it was shared with the ARC. It was shared with council. That information, she was there at the time when we submitted. So there isn't anything untoward that that management did to submit that information. She was party to the submission of that information. So I don't believe there's anything sitting on her laptop that's relating to performance bonuses. I have the information, the CFO has the information, the HR unit also has the information. Even the council pack as evidence, or the committee information packs that were sent prior to the meeting has that information. She is not solely responsible as a repository of that information.
Okay, but we were told that in the absence of the CEO, which I think he ran away because he misled us in the previous meeting, where he misled us, and I could confirm that those tools of trade that were said to have been collected were not collected at that time, were not collected on the same day. But be that as it may, we will further investigate that. I want to say what NEHAWU said at the beginning, that indeed the problem with NAC that we are faced with, Chair, it is incompetency, it is incapacity to deal with the issues. I'll tell you what. NEHAWU person says NAC, instead of responding to the issues, they are quick at getting legal representatives, even for things that are not requiring legal representatives. And I'm telling you this because at first hand, I have my own experience at first hand, which I deliberately led that process to get to that particular level. And indeed, without the management taking responsibility of following things as they're supposed to, I was sent a legal person to request the 60,000 rands back, which I accepted, even regardless of the fact that it was an insult, and I was told to reduce my budget to that 60,000 after I had already done the event. Okay, that is why I'm waiting for NAC to take me to court so that I can prove to you that, since I don't know, Julia, how many cases, I don't know how many strikes, I don't know how many, since you've been there, I don't know how many things you've been faced with NAC. NAC is not doing its core duty, but it's forever in the news for the wrong reasons. It's forever in court fighting the sector people. It is forever doing other things than doing it. The problem is incompetence. Chairperson, I am telling you, and I'm putting it to you. You are a legal person. I'm putting it to you that NAC, it is incompetency at management level. It is corruption at management level. If you raise anything against management or anybody, you get suspended or you get isolated. And this is what these workers are faced with, because there are certain people who raise issues outside NAC out of frustration. But if you listen to the presentation of NEHAWU, if I was a judge, I wouldn't even give this matter natural justice, because I know that NAC lies through its teeth. It is known to lie and even do quick at doing PR instead of responding to the issue. We have been told here, department, 5 times DG, you've been written to
Wrap up, Honorable Mtetwa.
responded. Why? What was the reason for you not to respond, DG?
Thank you, Chair. I've been waiting for that one. Chair, can I respond to the question about my non-response?
Please respond, Dr. Kumalo.
Thank you very much. Mr. Naidu has actually sent me 11 emails since the 12th of November. Amongst those emails, I'm being copied, Chair, except for 2 that were sent to me. One on the 7th of January, while I was on leave, but I still processed that, and my office responded to the email on the 15th of January. There is a record of that response being sent to Mr. Naidu and one other person. On the 28th of January, that's the second email. That's the email to which both the chairperson and Mr. Silias responded. I don't believe as one institution, we need to then all respond to one email where the content is the same. Mr. Silias, as he indicated, Mr. Naidu indicated, responded to that particular email. And we are very careful because we understand our role as a shareholder when it comes to entities. The chairperson of the NAC has been updating us on what has been happening. He's been sending emails since the 18th of November on this particular matter. The last email that came from the chairperson is on the 16th of March, where he has been giving us assurance and an update, sending an email to Minister as the chairperson of the entity reporting on what is happening. Over and above that, when I go back to these 11 emails that were sent by Mr. Naidu, I'm saying 2 of them that he sent to me, which are addressed Dr. Kumalo, and I've indicated the response, how we responded to that. There are 2 other emails which Mr. Naidu sent to both me and the minister, which read, Honorable Minister and Dr. Kumalo. And those are the approaches wherein, when there's correspondence like that we received, the ministry is the one that is then responding to those particular issues, because we are avoiding a situation where we give conflicting information and we leave it to the office, which is the higher office, in the email that a particular person has forwarded. All the other emails out of the 11 emails, I would like Mr. Naidu to give you, Chairperson, the other 3 emails that he says he sent to me and I never responded. I've got 2 emails, not 5 emails that he sent to me. The others has been copying me using writing to the PA of the minister, writing to the NAC chairperson and copying us. 11 emails from the 12th of November to date. Chairperson, upon us becoming aware, because you asked a question, I'm referring to what Honorable Potgieter was saying. Upon us receiving the certificate, the strike certificate and other things that Mr. Tsanyane was making reference to, which was on the 11th of March, you are correct that you also wrote to us on the 17th of March. We then convened the meeting because for us to be able to respond to you, Chairperson, we needed to have proper information, not just use correspondence where someone is copying us. We then convened the meeting. I was present, I chaired that meeting together with the acting NAC CEO, Mr. Mashale. He brought along his management, Ms. Dipofa, Ms. Reshma, and other people were in that meeting. They took us through a presentation. And the way forward out of the meeting on the 20th of March was that they needed to give us a written report so that we can report back to the oversight committee, but also report to the minister, which they only did on the 24th of March. And then we sent a response to yourself, Chairperson, on the 25th of March. Coming to the matters which are related to labor issues, when it relates to entities. As a shareholder, Chairperson, we are very careful how we deal with those matters so that we don't interfere in the processes in which a board has been appointed to play oversight and management is giving assurance to us in writing as well that they are dealing with the matters. Thank you, Chairperson.
Thank you, Chairperson. My last submission is that it is incorrect for the chairperson to say that the council did not approve the outstanding performance bonuses. The submissions did not even reach to the council, and the two ladies who are forever at the center of everything are protecting the former HR manager who did not do his job to submit to the council. So it is not the issue of the council not having approved, it is the issue of incompetence that are related to. Secondly, Chairperson, I don't think you should be using the terms or the phrase that says you were not there, because you have Her Royal Highness Talent, who was the board member during that time, the council member during prior your term of office. So you should be knowing issues that relate to challenges that are faced with those, or rather aired in public. You are given the responsibility to guide the organization. Is the board of the council of NAC unable to resolve issues? That's my last question. Are you able or unable to resolve it? Especially being somebody with a legal background. I don't understand how matters they end up to, especially this particular company. What's this company? The law firm that seems to be a permanent feature of NAC. I've forgotten the name, but it's constantly the only one that gets that are relating to conflicts or disputes. Is the council able to resolve?
Honorable Mtetwa, it's very difficult to hear you. I can't hear you properly. Can you perhaps move or speak closer to the mic?
Oh.
And please,
Can you hear me now?
Conclude, yes.
Can you hear me?
Yes, and please conclude, Honorable Mtetwa.
Yes, I'm saying the issue of the outstanding bonuses are not an issue of the council not having approved, because the council would not have approved if submissions were not made. The incompetence that I'm talking about is of staff members within NAC. The former HR manager did not do his job to submit to the council. That is why there was no any approval of anything, because that submission did not reach. And the two ladies are constantly, they are protecting such incompetency. That is why I have a challenge with that. So I want to ask, secondly, there's a legal company, a legal firm that is forever giving these, that is forever, Moody and Robertson. Is Moody and Robertson, what is the relationship between NAC and Moody and Robertson? Do they own a permanent contract, or is it per particular task? And the last one is the NAC Council able to resolve issues or not? Do you need assistance as
Honorable
the NAC?
Mtetwa, I have to stop you there. We are running out of time. And
that's fine.
I must admit that it's very difficult to hear you. I'm not too sure whether the department or NEC or NEHAWU could hear you. But I'm giving 2 minutes to the department or NEC to respond on what Honorable Mtetwa has said. I see a hand. Resma, NEC.
Good afternoon, Chairperson, honorable members, esteemed council members, members of NEHAWU, DG, and my colleagues. Chairperson, when you started the meeting or the session, you wanted full disclosure, and as the meeting is proceeding, I'm noticing that there's a constant theme of some of the items that I wish to clarify, and I thank you for the opportunity just to assist in clarifying some of the matters that have been misrepresented in some cases. So, Chair, categorically, I will start with the legal fees. I'll move on to council remuneration and then bonus, and included in that, I'll speak about supply chain processes as well. Chair, may I continue?
Yeah, please proceed.
Okay,
Proceed if
thank
you're
you.
helpful.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, in terms of the legal expenses, yes, in 2021, as Ms. Dipufa had mentioned, that because of the PSP matters that, affected the NAC, the legal fees were high. But from 2022, as the years progress, there's been a 72% decrease in legal fees. Yes, there are legal fees, and Chair, you can, and members, you can understand that legal fees are budgeted for, but unfortunately, they are unavoidable expenses that NEC or matters that NEC has to proceed with, and it needs legal counsel and legal advice and opinions on that. And then I want to talk about for this financial year, 2026. Mr. Naidu reflected an amount of 2.2 million rand, which he did not validate that expenditure. It was extracted directly from the financial ledger, and it was system generated. And therefore, it's subject to individual interpretation, and it was not even submitted or requested by the financial manager or myself to validate that expenditure. Chairperson, I have a different figure as the head of finance on that legal fees amount. In terms of Honorable Member Mtetwa, with the debt collection, it's not a legal firm that is recouping the funds from beneficiaries. We went through a proper procurement process in terms of recoupment of funds based on historical and also being mindful of the cost effectiveness of this. And then just in the same vein of supply chain management processes, I think it's respectfully, in my view, I believe Mr. Naidu is misrepresenting the members here that supply chain processes are being flouted. I think we should wait for the Auditor General or the internal audit to really verify that we are flouting processes, but we are very mindful of the prescripts that we have to follow. Chair, if I may, I will move on to council remuneration. Again, Chairperson, thank you, Chairperson. In terms of the council honorarium, again, from 2021 to 2025, there's been a 68% decrease in the expenditure. And members, one must understand that from our sister agencies as well, we have 21 council members because of our mandate. Our sister agencies have between 12 members. And as you can see, if you look at the trend of the decrease, you will note the number of meetings have decreased and the reasoning. And I do wish that, when we look at this expenditure, there's some context and some, um, I'm just finding it hard to find the word, but finding the context in when interpreting this expenditure. Then,
Yeah,
Chair,
you just a
I'll move.
second before you going anywhere.
Yes,
I
Chair.
think we have to admit to one another that there are things that we need to address, and also uh, stuff that has a slow reaction from council, stuff that is overdue on some of the matters. But another factor also is that there are two ways to resolve this. I only hear the one side of CCMA.
Absolutely.
I
Sorry, Chair.
only
I'm
hear
speaking for you.
I only hear the one side of CCMA. I don't hear another side, or how can we solve this on an internal basis. I understand that we have to resolve this matter in the CCMA, and that's all what is available to us. And if you look at the PFMA as well, it prohibited us from posting them out here. So we also say that this is public money, and we cannot allow that it can be used in such a manner. But the various issues at stake, and what we while I'm listening to everyone, we ask whether anyone has been paid. There is proof of a slide that between the annual NAC annual report on 2019-2020 that the CEO has been paid bonus at the time. Who was the CEO at the time? Someone by the surname Mangope, I think, who was present or absent in the previous meeting that we had. But we have to, honorable members, formulate some solutions in terms of how are we going to make recommendations so that the NAC can also make a contribution to see how best can we strike, how best can we save the strike, unlike waiting for the CCMA. But also for me, making an assumption that the strike is unlawful, I don't see any appetite from NEC to go to court to have this matter review, but they are still maintaining the stance that yes, this is an illegal strike. There are matters that we have to prioritize to solve this problem, and one of them is the appointment of a CFO. And I remember since our last meeting, we have made these kind of suggestions, but also we have to find middle ground to settle the score, because I said earlier that the PESP is suffering when it comes to distributions of this nature. So, honorable members, if you speak, let us come with recommendations on what we want to see and how council best can outline, to us how to resolve the problem. That is the core of the business today. How can we resolve the problem? While we had, and I'm saying it with due respect, the whole year to do so. But we went court in, court out. We went CCMA in, CCMA out. So what are these considerations that we have to make? And this is the seriousness of this whole issue if you look at all the various respective entities when it comes to how they operate. So it is a year plus now, and we are facing with similar issues that we are facing here, Honorable Moletsani, that we had with Parkovs and others. So it is important for us to come up with a resolution. How are we going to solve this issue? This is not what I hear as chairperson here. I only hear finger pointing. I only hear this one has said that one has said that. But I also fail to understand if allegations are being made about picketing and also leave the workers without updates. I mean, that is serious allegations. And I hope it also form part of the submissions to CCMA. And then there's allegations of an agreement that has been signed, but on the other hand, the contrary have been done as far as clarity and confusion is concerned. So the failure also for an interdict for me. And I believe that if the NAC believe that the strike is unlawful, I should also would like to hear, Mr. Botha, what are the reasons and why they haven't acted legally and say, listen, we are taking this matter, you are unlawful, we are taking you on legally, instead leaving those, to protest in the offices and so on. So there are, as a matter of fact, quite a number of contradiction as far as the conduct is concerned. One of it, the signing of the agreements while calling the strike illegal. It shows confusion for me. It shows outright confusion. And also, looking at the court cases, I am eager to know what money has been spent only on the legal fees when it comes to this allegation of stalling of tactics, as NEHAWU has presented a year before us. Because at the end of the day, we are now facing issues of good faith, we are facing issues of trust, we are facing issues of abuse of power, and numerous other issues that we are facing as a collective here. So I hear things mentioned about allegations that the NAC chairs reminded a meeting that the decisions is sacrosanct. But for me, the time I'm involved in all of this, in South African law, even court judgments can be overturned or rescinded. So no decision can be sacrosanct. So these issues need to be ironed out. And we are not going to reach a conclusion here today. Because the strike for us is not an accident. It is a question of management and also a question of lawfulness, a process that has been disregarded by various stakeholders. And I think we should call a kind of a synergy to all stakeholders to solve these issues. Really. And Dr. Khumalo was very quick to respond to the email questions. And I can say thank you to the professional staff that they are not sleeping. They are working 24/7 in the morning hours, late at night, tempering me with issues of this nature, because for us, when something comes from outside, we need to respond. But there must be a system. And I understand that, I used to say, when you see the whole world, that means to me, read it if you want to. But if you address some individual in an email, then at least that individual must have the decency to respond. But we are now facing an issue of which the whole of South Africans, their eyes is upon us on what is transpiring there. I haven't heard, and I'm not satisfied, I haven't heard any reasonable explanation that who has been paid out ever since this 7-8 days since the sit-in. If I can get clarity that this day-to-day work has gone with success, who has been paid out? They have paid Joe Maglua out, they have paid Komazi out, they have paid Khumalo out, so there was payment. But for me, from outside, there's people sitting in, there's no work going on. This is the things that we want to hear here. Honorable Molatsani, and then Honorable Potgieter, then we have to close. I want also to hear from Mr. Botha and Dr. Khumalo on the way forward, how we are going to solve this problem.
Thank you very much, Chairperson. Good afternoon to you, Chairperson, again, and good afternoon to honorable members on the platform. the NAC officials and the DSEC as well as the board. You know, Chair, you've just said a mouthful. To ask question at this present moment, I think it will be a waste of time. You've said a mouthful, because what I wanted to ask the NAC was that how much did they spend on the legal fees? Only on this since the strike, how much did they spend on legal fees? And was there any reason for them not to sit down and talk to NEHAWU in order for them to avoid the strike? Because I think since the strike had started, they've lost so much, which could have been prevented by sitting down and talking. At this present moment, Chairperson, the pride, uh,
Paper.
the pride,
Can I find my paper?
the
I've got so many papers here.
Chairperson. Okay, Chair. I was saying that, Chairperson, the pride of saying that we will not resolve this, you can go to strike and so forth, is not going to assist. What was so difficult for both parties to swallow the pride, sit down, talk, reach each other regarding the issue of resolving this matter. You know the reason I'm saying this, Chairperson. If you still remember, in our previous meeting that we had with NAC was part, NEHAWU was part of that meeting. You could hear that there are issues that somewhere, somehow, one doesn't want to come to the table to assist in resolving these issues. You could hear the misinformation that was given to the portfolio committee chairperson. And I think Honorable Mtetwa has just said that make NAC aware that lying to portfolio committee, you can be you can be held accountable, and you can be charged, go to jail, chairperson. So I don't know what is so difficult with NAC to 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 swallow this pride of them not wanting to go and talk to the employees. I've listened to the representative from now saying that they are 20 something employees, and 23 members are members of NEHAWU. What is so difficult, Chairperson, to sit down with those 23 something employees to discuss this matter? If they wanted to avoid the strike, they could have done that. But because the pride is standing in front of them, they've decided to take their pride and put it in front, and forget that if those people go to strike, it's going to be another money that they are going to spend. It can't be right that we keep on, the department keep on giving entities money, whereas when they're supposed to resolve issues, they are not. Money is being spent to unnecessary things, the legal fees. I mean, Chair, this can be happening now. This can be happening now. So the chair of the board, my humble plea, find a way to reach out to those employees, sit down with them. If some issues you can't be able to compromise, let them know so that they can be, the compromise must come to both parties, not only or onto you. But if you don't sit down with those employees, we'll find ourselves in the same situation. And it can't be right that we'll be sitting here knowing very well that the work is not happening. Apart from the work is not happening, strike also caused the damage of the property, one way or the other. Chairperson, let NAC as well as employees come together, sit down, resolve this matter. NAC must drop this attitude that they are having. Thank you very much, Chairperson.
Thank you, Honorable Molatsani. What is the amount of bonuses at stake here? Is it 1 million, Mr. Botha? Ms. Pofo?
Chairperson, I'm able to answer that.
Yes, please.
It's 1,065,000.
And there's no way that they can solve this problem. In the meantime, ever since for this last 7 days, which monies has been paid to who? Because there's also a lack that the NEC stands on that work is going on and people has been paid.
Chair, am I audible?
You are now audible,
Thank you.
Mr. Botha.
Thank you. Apologize for that. Chair, so just to perhaps Ms. Bula can confirm or rectify this, but it's a nuanced answer. It's not a full R1 million, because I believe only 16 of the employees who were entitled to those bonuses, not entitled, that's the wrong word, who were claiming those bonuses are still employed. So it wouldn't quite amount to R1 million payable. The issue is more related to the PFMA. We're a Schedule 3A entity, Chair. The council can't allot or settle this willy-nilly. These things have to be budgeted for. So that really deals with that question. It's difficult for us to simply settle on that basis. That's aside from the legal issues. There's governance protocols here that we must take into account. And that's also why we've asked the union repeatedly to just give us time to get proper legal advice. This committee did call me to order previously not to give legal advice. So we've been forced to, by circumstances, by governance, to do so, to get the legal advice. As to whether there's a way forward, if this council has an appetite for trying to find the staff, but every time we ask for grace to just give us opportunity to get proper advice and to understand this, the thing gets escalated, and that's how we ended up in the Pickett situation before we
I understand, Mr.
Yeah.
Botha, just a second. I fully and completely understand you. But is there any reason why there was no budget for this since you took office? Is there any reason? Because
Yes.
it is inherited, this thing.
Yes.
And if you compare, we have to compare apples with apples.
Yes.
If you consider the fact that your court fees, your legal fees, it's far exceeding what we were supposed to pay out.
Chair, yes, let me address that. So the legal fees on this particular matter haven't started running. We've literally just appointed Moody and Robertson now. And this also goes to the question you asked, why we haven't gone to court for an urgent interdict. Those are expensive. It's common cause. Mr. Naidu himself said he received a letter on the 18th asking for us to go back to the CCMA to conciliate from Moody and Robertson, and that's why we're trying to optimize and ensure that we manage legal costs. And the goal really, the attitude of this council is not to be dismissive or disrespectful to the staff or to be heavy-handed. We've instructed Moody and Robertson to please go back to the CCMA. The matter is in the CCMA, and to persuade the union and the staff that the claim doesn't have legs, and that we must see if we can sit around the table and discuss a way forward. Chair, the crux of the matter is the email that Mr. Naidu flighted. And this just goes back to what Mr. Honorable Mtetwa said about the staff not being informed. That email shows that in 2023, the staff were informed that council had not approved the bonuses. And again, I'm not giving legal advice. It's just a matter of law and fact. The Labour Relations Act says that if an unfair labour practice takes place and the staff are unhappy, they've got 90 days to refer that matter. In 2023, that email came through,
Mr.
nobody
Botha,
referred
just a
anything.
second.
It was only referred in December 2025.
Just a second, Mr. Botha. Which platforms should you argue will be the best place to decide it on the legal stand of NEHAWU?
I think the only process for us here to follow, Chair, is for us to go to the CCMA and to let the attorneys and the union meet and debate this. What I'm putting forward is what we understand to be the facts of the situation and what will be presented. And the union and the legal advisors, Moody and Robertson, will have to find each other there. It's not. I don't think it's appropriate or necessarily the right forum for this portfolio committee to decide on these issues. We have notified that we have a date for the 31st of March, and we'll have to let the members or the representatives go there and see if they can find each other.
Yeah, we don't want to interfere and decide on these issues. All that we want to address as an oversight committee is the governance issue that is at stake here. How that offices are being run and how it affects South Africans in this particular field. The Honorable Potgieter.
You, Chairperson. Yeah, look, I think, for me, a lot of what's happening here is, and if anybody knows me, I've been in my fair share of fights with unions. I'm by no means their biggest proponent. But a lot of stuff here is just not making sense to me. It seems to me that a lot of the employees are paying the price for a bad, a bad management, who failed to account for their interests at the time. And I would have assumed that the budget for these bonuses would have been in the years that they should have been submitted, but they weren't. And they're now being paid, made to pay for that. What I would ask is, because I've drawn your annual reports off of your website, is that it appears that the very same HR manager who failed to submit these bonuses in 2021, sort of going into 2022, received a bonus in 21 of 47,000 Rand, and the finance manager also received a bonus of 51,000 Rand. So that kind of negates the entire statement that nobody received bonuses during that COVID period. And that does concern me, because it does seem that these employees are being made to, or suffering is not the right word, but they're bearing the consequence of a management system that essentially was defunct. And that doesn't seem fair to me. I would like to understand what the exact legal costs are. And I understand you said you've only appointed Moody and Robertson, but if these legal costs are budgeted for, and you know what they charge per hour, I mean, my experience on a forensic investigation or legal review is anywhere from 50,000 to 200,000 Rand. And that's the cost that you're looking at for that. But I would like to reiterate your comments, Chair. I don't think that what's happened is fair. And I will be the first person to say whether or not I think that. I've no interest in kowtowing to requests that are, illogical or unreasonable. But I don't think that hiding behind governance after people have been treated very unfairly in terms of things that should have been done that are outside of their control that weren't done, that somehow some sort of medium, and I agree with Honourable Malatsani here, that some sort of mediation or discussion needs to be had as to how this can be resolved. What I am concerned about, Chair, going forward, is there is an evident breakdown in relationship between the staff and the management. And I do think that they need to seriously look at the appointments, and I think you mentioned it, of the CFO and possibly the CEO if that's not confirmed, so that trust relationship can be, rebalanced. Because essentially you're not going to be making, proper payments and running a functional organization if your staff and your management are at complete odds with each other. It's very important that relationship is repaired and it's done in the right way. So I'm not going to deem to draw any conclusions from this, but I can tell you that the reasonings that have been given point more to a management that failed to do its job and staff that are now paying the price for that. And I don't think any form of, claims of governance can hide behind the fact that is not fair and it's not ethical. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honourable Potgieter. Julie Depofa, please respond. Unmute.
Okay. I wanted to clarify certain matters that Honourable Member Mtota had mentioned. In terms of the suspension of the late Mrs. Mangope in 2021, that had nothing to do with the Sarah case. That was purely on the maladministration of PSP. So I wanted to put it on record and clarify it. In addition, the payment that I think one of the honorable members mentioned in 2019, I think you were looking at the annual report of 2018-2019. And that annual report, the payments of bonuses do not occur within the same financial year where staff performed. They are often paid in the following year. For instance, as we sit.
Chair, sorry, I have to interrupt this. I have to interrupt this response. That is not correct, and just so that I can clarify, because the response is quite important based on the facts. This is from your 2021-22 annual report, and the HR manager in question that received a bonus, it stated very clearly in the report under 2021 that it's for the period 1st of April 2020 to the 22nd of January 2021. I do think that's important for clarity, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Potgieter.
Correct. I'm coming to that as well. So I was mentioning this in relation to Mrs. Mangope. Coming again to the payment of bonuses in 2021, that related to the backlog of bonuses that were meant for the Arts Development Unit in 2017, which were not concluded. Council at the time concluded them in 2020 before their term ended. So it had nothing to do or didn't even relate to the 2019-2020 financial year's performance. That was completely different. It's just that they were approved quite late after lengthy processes. And I also want to clarify that the 60,000 that was paid to Honorable Muthetwa, it was project funding. He constantly, I have evidence of emails requesting extensions, which we granted as per the NAC contracting condition. He has defaulted because he has not reported. He has not given us an implementation report as well as an expenditure report. So I wanted to put it clear there, Chair. Thank you.
Mr. Botha, you are a lawyer. I'm going to ask you direct questions now. Do you acknowledge that we have a problem?
Yes, Chair. I'm just not sure if I know what problem that you're referring to.
No, what we are discussing, what's on the table. There is a problem. There is definitely a problem. Do you think we have to do with some lack of transparency here?
Chair, as far as historical goes, I suppose I don't know. I don't have the information in front of me. I think at the time there was an NAC council, there was a portfolio committee, and these issues would have been raised. And I know that there was a lot of controversy around these events and these times. But Chair, again, I feel those years are closed. I can't answer for that period. I don't know what to say from that point of view. But currently,
that is our biggest problem here, the historical nature of this. Now, in terms of action, who do you think must act? NAC, the department, the committee? Who must be held?
I think, with respect, the NAC is doing exactly what a responsible employer must do, and that is to engage with the union and to find an amicable resolution, and that's our instruction to Moody and Robertson. I do know that there are views where people are saying, look, just go get an urgent interdict and dismiss the matter. But that's not what we're trying to do with the staff. We're trying to see if we can find a way forward. Council's position is, regrettably, there's nothing we can do about those historical bonuses. The decision not to award them was made in 2023. It's impossible for us to bring this in. And the legal costs are, in terms of the PFMA, recognized. The paying the bonuses out to the staff now are not recognized. And these are things that I can't just ignore. I understand feelings, and I also have felt occasionally that I'd love to find a way to resolve this and settle the staff. but we are governed by a set of statutes. We would like to encourage the union to consider terminating the strike, withdrawing their claims, and sitting down with us and seeing how we could find a way forward and do this within the PFMA, but also ask for patience. There's no way we can just make a decision off the cuff. All of this is going to be subject to audits, to this committee's oversight. Chair, honestly, if we had just approved these and paid out R1 million of public money, we would be sitting here today answering a very different set of questions, and a set of questions that I would be less comfortable answering. As far as
I hear you.
I can
hear you.
submit.
I hear you, Mr. Botha. Let me ask you another question. Do you think that NEC is engaging enough? The fact that the strike is continuing for so many days.
I do think so, Chair. Again, the first day of the strike, we wrote, our legal team wrote to NEHAWU and said, let's meet, let's get around the table. We waited for NEHAWU. NEHAWU has now agreed. A date has been set. We've been acting with all due haste. We did have one problem, where a law firm was appointed initially out of the EXCO to assist us and advise us. Unfortunately, and in fact, they were copied on some of the emails. Unfortunately, they just didn't come to the party, I think is a polite way of saying it. And we had to change lawyers, and that also led to some of the delays. And I appreciate NEHAWU's frustration, but we are a state-owned enterprise. We're working with public money. We have to have that additional layer of care and diligence and duty, and that's what we're trying to do. And we could have just gone to court. As this council, we've said, let's not be aggressive with the staff. Let's engage with the staff, and meet them in the conciliation chambers and see if we can find each other.
Yeah, you see, as a public entity, you're not a state-owned enterprise. Do you feel alone? Do you feel that the department is helping the ministry? How do you feel? Do you feel like crying?
No, Chair, sorry. I don't mean to laugh. It's not a funny situation, but
No, I understand.
we've had the department interact with us and be very supportive, and they understand our approach, and they've given us the leeway, or not the leeway, but the ability to follow our approach here, which is appointing a law firm and getting them to go through the conciliation, which I think we respect as a council, Chair.
Tell me, and this is not personal, if things don't go NEC way on the 31st of March, what will your view be if this committee's request the minister that we put NEC under administration?
Chair, I don't know if that's fair for me to comment on. Obviously,
Tell
I
us you
would
will
be.
cry or you will be sad.
I'd be surprised, borderline shocked. I don't think administration is necessary. The fact that there's a strike and we're still able to process arts organization applications, sign off on approvals and make the payments, probably indicates that this is the last entity that should be placed under administration.
Oh, cool. Now, are you in a position to give us a list? I'm not sure. Forgive me for my, innocence. But are you in a position to give us, at least for this 8 days, who have been helped with what, and what has been what happened in the absence of those working in the office?
Chair, that's a management issue. Obviously, we exercise oversight. I would have to request management to prepare a report. And
yes,
what I'm aware of, and on the bigger scheme of things, is that there's a arts organization funding process that's been ongoing. The panel has met, approvals have taken place, and that's now going to go through for processing for payment. Which also, obviously the payments can take place, but it would help if we can resolve the situation with the union. But I'm advised by management that the payments will take place in the ordinary course. There's enough of a team to ensure that that happens.
Yeah, you may respond to this, and maybe I must direct this to Dr. Kumalo. After the 31st of March, is there any way, Dr. Kumalo, that we can request after the 31st, whatever the outcome is, that, we receive again a transparent and a very, very much collective plan in addressing the governance issues that has been identified over the short space in time during the strike, and also that, that we must have a plan, neither here nor there, from yourself, Dr. Kumalo, or the NAC, a plan that must include, but specifically from your side, the independent oversight, not the passive one, the independent oversight, then so that we can have like measurable milestones in the organization, and some kind of a regular reporting to Parliament, because we are concerned. You know, I've been asked left, right, and center, and I think a number of members on this platform on the issues of funding, and I don't want to go there. So I think if there's some sort of failure to comply, it must trigger some sort of escalation for accountability per se, so that we can have measures in place to deal with it. But someone must answer, and I understand the predicament, Mr. Botha, you are in. Someone must answer for the decisions that has been taken in the past, and we cannot bear the brunt of decisions that has been taken. And I think there must be a way, Dr. Kumalo, to see to what extent we can assist those 14 or 26 members in that office. If you hear the passionate plight, I am of the opinion that we really can save the situation. And also, I think what we need to uphold here, and through our actions, doesn't matter what the outcome will be, is the integrity of governance, because all fingers are pointing to the integrity of governance in the office of Dr. Kumalo, direct to Mr. Botha, direct to the organization, the management, direct to the portfolio committee, which we most of the time receive allegations that we are folding our hands and do nothing. So I think we should really wrap this up and perhaps think in the lines of what I have suggested, and for the way forward, and also most importantly to have a resolution, and hopefully one can just pray that the 31st of March will be sooner than we think it should be. There's a Vusi Liu.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, I just wanted you to note, and that is on record, a point that has been raised by Mr. Poffa, stating the fact that Eugene Mtetwa owes money to the National Arts Council. And because it becomes very unfair of the fact that Mr. Mtetwa says we are incompetent when he himself has not done correct with the National Arts Council, and money that can be used for other cultural professionals who need the National Arts Council support. And can we have you follow part of this? I had sent you an email last year, which you've never responded to.
I'm not dealing direct with emails. We do have secretaries of Parliament, and we are sitting with a country, South Africa, and if everyone write to me, imagine with the work I'm loaded to respond to each and every one.
I quoted
No, you
your, I
shouldn't write to
quoted
me. You should write to the secretary of the portfolio, and they will deal with it. You have seen 9 out of 9 has been responded to. The Honorable
I did,
Mutambi, please proceed.
Thank you, Chair. I
I
just
did.
feel I need to intervene on this matter. If it's a matter of Mr. Honorable
Mthethwa.
Mteta Owe, why should it be in be brought
Exactly.
to the committee? Because there was an agreement between them as parties, and then there's a way to collect a debt if it's a debt owed. What should this committee do, Chair? I don't really understand this. I just need to get clarity. So
Yeah,
should
thank
we
you. I
interfere
agree.
on matters where people entered into agreement while we were not there? And then it's brought to us. And then there are also mechanism to deal with MPs, not in this fashion, in this way of the committee.
Thank you, Honorable
Maybe,
Mutambi.
yeah, thank you, Chair.
Appreciate. Honorable Molatani, I could see your political clause come out.
Definitely, Chairperson, definitely. It can be right that this time, because the portfolio committee has called NAC, that's when they remember that someone owes this much. Where was he all this time to come and raise these issues today? Why doesn't he raise those issues outside this portfolio committee? He only remembered that when portfolio committee is here. No. That gentleman, he must behave. This is not how to run issues. He was supposed to have raised those things long time ago. He was sitting there, sleeping on the job. But that's only now he remember that Honorable Mthethwa is owing them something. No ways, Chairperson.
Yeah,
Thank you.
this is not a place to settle scores. Honorable members, I hope, and I don't want to put the content advisor on the spot. We have requested a legal advisor also for the committee to observe, but we have been advised that we have the full right to call this meeting and to ask and to inform the masses out there what is transpiring. But we've heard Mr. Bota's input, we have heard the input of NEHAWU, we have heard the input of the department itself. But what we are seeking a solution, we are seeking justice, we are seeking positive outcomes. So I am not too sure in terms of what has been said, what will be taken as recommendations from the portfolio secretary. But we will hear from you, Mr. Botha, after the 31st and the department. Dr. Kumalo, there is definitely a communication gap. I mean, even with the engagement now, we have requested on various occasions that changes in councils, in boards must be communicated. I mean, we were taken by surprise to find out that Julie de Pofa's issue has been solved through a hearing, whatever the case. I think it's just more than right, and it's courtesy to communicate those to the portfolio secretary so that we as members are aware of all of these changes. I'm going to ask you, Dr. Kumalo, to have your closing remarks, following by Mr. Botha, and then also followed by NEHAWU.
Thank you, Chair. I've had to switch to my phone because I'm driving to the airport now, but I hope you can still hear me.
So sorry.
Yeah, Chair, I want to ride on what Mr. Botha said. And I think for me, it becomes very important that we don't look at this chairperson against the amount, the 1 million. Because even if it was 100,000, we still have to follow those proper processes. We all account to you at the end of the day if there is any breach. So, and the decision that they take as a board, they know that it's got a legal precedence that then gets set even for future such matters. However, Chair, I do want to agree with you that let us await for the 31st of March And no matter what the outcome of that particular sitting of the 31st, we do need to then coming out of that, because the date is set already, unfortunately, it's not that far away. We therefore need to, you have asked us to produce a plan that basically addresses this particular matter coming out of the meeting of the 31st, but also you've asked us for a long-term plan, which I think is in order, Chair. And it talks to some of the interventions that we've spoken about, that we are awaiting also a report coming out of the CREC team that I think we've made reference to. One of the things you've made reference to, Chairperson, which also become very important in terms of sustainability in the entity, is around the issue of expediting the filling of the post of the CEO and the CFO. And that comment in no way wants to throw shade on the management currently that is there in the entity. But for stability to be achieved, I think that is one of the very key priorities that we also as a department need to explore. We don't believe, Chairperson, we are playing a passive role when it comes to monitoring and oversight, but we do take your points, and it's something that we take home to look at how we then improve on that. Thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you, Dr. Kumalo. Mr. Botha.
Thank you, Chair. Chair, thank you. I want to thank the committee for a lot of the suggestions that have been given. We're also obviously concerned about the situation, and we are paying attention to it. We've acted with all diligence. We've engaged with the union. I've personally spoken to Mr. Naidu a number of times. Even he confirmed that. We are hoping that we can reach an amicable resolution of the situation, but the parties are quite far apart, as you can see, and it's going to take a bit of discussion, and we're doing that. We are going there to meet with them to discuss within the bounds of what we're able to do. Chair, there are a few things that are concerning, though. The National Arts Council doesn't prosecute or take on legal matters. We defend. If we are to take a posture of not defending the entity, we would be sued on a daily basis, and all our funds would be eroded by lawsuits instead of being funneled to the deserving artists. We unfortunately have to pay out legal fees, and even in this situation, NEHAWU has assumed that the staff are correct and that they have a valid claim. But let's for a second imagine that they don't have a valid claim. If we were to take a posture of not defending the NAC and simply pay out, that would also present as poor governance. So we can't just accept that we can't take legal fees, and to put that forward as a basis is a false equivalence. The payment of the council members' fees, that's a statutory requirement. The council is 24 members. That's by law. That's not something that the NAC just arbitrarily does. We pay according to the legal rates, and for the quality of the council members that we have on council, it is really just a nominal stipend for a lot of the members that we have. We have doctors and professionals on this council. So again, it's a false equivalence to present that and say, oh, well, instead of paying council members, you could just pay the staff out these bonuses. And until we find a reasonable and rational grounds of engagement where management is also being heard and there's cognition as to all these facts, it's going to be difficult to find each other. But we are confident that at this meeting on the 30th of March, we will go with a posture of saying, let's see if we can find a way to resolve this issue and stop the strike. It really does personally break my heart that a lot of these members have gone on a strike on a no-pay basis for a matter that potentially they might not get anything out of. And they'll have to look at their representatives in that regard. But we are hoping that we can resolve this speedily. I think the staff are the ones that are being hurt here, and it may be an ego battle. I don't know, but hopefully we can resolve it soon. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you so much, Mr. Botha. NEHAWU.
Chair, thank you for the opportunity. Again, I want to just say thank you because, for the first time or the second time, you've given us a platform My colleagues are outside listening to you on the loudspeaker, jumping, singing, cheering for this portfolio committee, and we thank you for your intervention. I think, again, the department and the NEC board have missed us in a few places, especially with continuously quoting unfair labor practices. But I don't want to get back into that now. I think let's see what happens on Tuesday. But I can tell you now, people are outside shouting to dissolve the board. So, Chair, I'll put it back to you, and we'll reconvene after Tuesday and see what happens. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. On that note, may I call for calm? And also, should there be any protest, people have the right to protest, but let us do it within the frame of the law. And colleagues, we have confronted, and it's not the first time, but for me, this was also a good indicator that we have confronted the governance failures before us straight on. Also, we have resolved.
There's an order, there's something that is very disturbing on the chat there that is written by Mr. Vusiliu. If you don't attend it, Chair, it has got an impact on the decorum of this house. Did you see there's something written correction? That's why I'm raising the hand with due respect.
Can you read it for us, Honorable Utambi?
It says correction. I've never slept on a job. I have proof it goes further, but in essence, yeah, that's the issue that I'm trying to say. We have raised this matter and we said what needs to be done. So I don't want to go through it because it's very disturbing for it to be put at the chat there. It also has to deal with the decorum of this house, Chair. That's the matter that I felt. If you leave it unattended.
Yeah, I just want to say, I mean, a case in point was the presentation by NEHAWU. We've attended 9 out of 9 issues. And I am going to protect the professional staff member, the portfolio secretaries of this portfolio committee, the researchers, the content advisors, everyone. I will protect them with my life because they are capable, they are able, they are professional. And I'm not going to take kind in that WhatsApp group this individual belonged to. Again, colleagues, we have confronted the governance failures straight. And what I would like to say, we have also assigned accountabilities. We have assigned timelines, as Dr. Kumalo has said. And also, we have also enforced oversight. And with this discipline and transparency, it is our and will remain our compass. And we will do what is best for this country. With that said, honorable members, guests, NEC, NEHAWU, the department, professional staff, this meeting is now adjourned.
Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Chair.